Very interesting.
Mr. President, what do you say to people who view that luxury jet as a personal gift to you? Why not leave it behind?
Your ABC fake news, right?
Why not?
Only ABC. Well, a few of you would. Let me tell you, you should be embarrassed asking that question. They're giving us a free jet. I could say, no, don't give us. I want to pay you $1 billion or 400 million or whatever it is.
Something absolutely unprecedented just happened in Congress, and the images coming out of the Capitol are stunning. Lawmakers stood up in the middle of Trump's speech and walked out. Not quietly, not discreetly. They grabbed protest signs. They turned their backs on Trump. They walked out while he was talking on live television with the whole country watching. And it wasn't just a few progressives making a statement. By the end of Trump's address, about a third of House Democrats had cleared out of the chamber. A third. Think about what that means. During what's supposed to be this dignified, formal occasion where the president addresses Congress, dozens of lawmakers just abandoned the room. And then it got worse. Representative Al Green, the same guy who's been trying to impeach Trump for years, started shouting right there in the chamber. Something about Trump lacking a mandate and impeachment, and Capitol security had to physically remove him, had to escort him out while Republicans cheered and Democrats stood in support. This is chaos. This is the breakdown of normal congressional order, and I'm going to walk you through exactly what happened, why it keeps happening, and what it means for Trump's ability to govern. But real quick, before we get into this, let's be honest. You can't really trust mainstream media anymore. That's why we built John Brown Show, to bring you real stories, real context, and no corporate spin. If you want to stay ahead of the headlines, join our free newsletter. We'll send the news straight to your inbox every day. Just click the link in the description to join. And if you just want to support what we're doing, join us. Be part of the community that actually cares about the truth. And seriously, check right now if you're actually subscribed to this channel, because you might think you are, but aren't. Your subscription actually matters here. All right, let's get into what actually happened. March 4th, 2025. Trump is giving a major address to a joint session of Congress. This is his big moment to look presidential, to show he's in control, to demonstrate his power over Washington. Every president gets moments like this where they stand at the rostrum with senators and representatives and Supreme Court justices all gathered, where they lay out their vision and everyone respectfully listens. Except Democrats decided they weren't going to give Trump that respect. They weren't going to sit quietly and applaud on cue and play their part in the pageantry. Instead, they planned protests. They coordinated them. They made sure everyone knew what was coming. Some Democrats wore protest shirts under their jackets, shirts saying "Save Medicaid" and "Protect Democracy." Others prepared signs, no king being the most visible one. And they waited. They let Trump start his speech, let the cameras focus on him, and then they started leaving, not all at once. That would have been too obvious, too organized, too easy for Republicans to dismiss as a stunt. Instead, they left in waves, a few here, a few there, standing up, turning their backs, walking out, creating this visual of Democrats steadily abandoning the chamber while Trump kept talking. By the end, reporters estimated about a third of House Democrats had left. A third. That's not a handful of progressives making a statement. That's a significant portion of the Democratic caucus saying, we're not going to legitimize this. Now let me bring the receipts here, because what happened with Al Green is absolutely insane. Al Green is the congressman who's been trying to impeach Trump for years. He's made it his mission, his obsession, and he wasn't about to let Trump's big speech go by without making his own statement. So Green starts shouting right there in the chamber while Trump's talking, something about impeachment, about Trump lacking a mandate, about abuse of power, and Capitol security had to physically remove him, had to escort him out while he was still yelling, while Republicans were cheering, while Democrats were standing in support. Think about what that image represents. A member of Congress being forcibly removed from a presidential address for shouting about impeachment. That's not normal, that's not decorum, that's chaos. That's the breakdown of the pretense that everything's fine and Congress is functioning normally. And the thing is, Democrats knew this would happen. They planned for it. They wanted that visual because it sends a message, not just to Trump, but to their voters, to activists, to everyone watching at home who's frustrated and angry and feeling powerless. The message is, we're fighting. We're not cooperating. We're making it hard for Trump every step of the way. But here's what you need to understand. This isn't just about one walkout. This is a pattern. This is Democrats repeatedly disrupting what are supposed to be normal congressional proceedings, creating scenes, making statements, turning routine votes and hearings into spectacles. Let me show you the pattern. July 17th, 2025. Senate Judiciary Committee is voting on Emil Bove. This is Trump's nominee for a federal appeals court. And Bove is not just any nominee. He was Trump's personal defense attorney, the lawyer who defended him in criminal cases. And now Trump wants to put him on the bench, on a powerful court, for life. Democrats ask for a delay. They want to call a whistleblower who has allegations about Bove. Republicans say no. No delay. No whistleblower testimony. We're voting today. So what do Democrats do? Senator Cory Booker stands up, gives this impassioned speech, says the process is a charade, says Republicans are ramming through an unqualified nominee without proper vetting, says this is exactly the kind of corruption that undermines faith in the judiciary, and then all the Democrats stand up and they walk out. They leave Booker's microphone still hot, leave the cameras rolling, leave those empty chairs as a visual representation of their opposition. And Republicans, they just keep voting. They advance Bove's nomination with only Republican votes, with half the committee missing. CNN was there filming. PBS was broadcasting live. The whole thing was captured. Democrats walking out in protest, Republicans voting anyway. The image of a broken, dysfunctional committee where one party literally won't participate anymore. And that's intentional. Democrats know they can't stop these nominations. Republicans have the votes, but they can make sure every confirmation is tainted. Every vote is controversial. Every nominee has this asterisk next to their name saying Democrats walked out rather than legitimize this process. Then there's the overnight protest for Russell Vought. Early February 2025. Vought is the architect of Project 2025. Trump's trying to make him run the Office of Management and Budget. This is a powerful position. Controls the federal budget, oversees how agencies spend money. And Vought is controversial, to put it mildly. Democrats look at Project 2025 and see fascism, authoritarianism, the end of democratic governance as they know it. So they decide, we're making a stand. We're holding the floor. We're not letting this vote happen without maximum public attention. They call it a red alert moment. They say democracy is at stake. They organize senators to hold the floor through the entire night. Senator Chris Murphy leads off. Talks about how Trump's first days have been really, really dangerous. How Vought represents an existential threat. How this isn't normal political opposition, but genuine alarm about where the country is heading. And then other senators cycle in, each one giving speeches, holding posters, reading from Project 2025 documents to show how extreme it is. They go all night, literally. Senators who are normally in bed by 10 p.m. staying up past dawn, taking shifts, making sure the floor is never empty, making sure C-SPAN cameras are always showing a Democrat warning about Trump and Vought and Project 2025. And again, this doesn't stop the nomination. Republicans have the votes. Vought eventually gets confirmed, but Democrats made sure it wasn't quiet, wasn't routine, wasn't something that could just slip through without notice. They forced national attention. They got media coverage. They created a moment. That's the playbook. When you can't win on votes, you win on visibility. You make sure people see the fight, see the resistance, see that not everyone's going along with Trump's agenda. December 23rd, 2025. Senate Subcommittee hearing on immigration enforcement. Should be a normal hearing, right? Witnesses testify. Senators ask questions. Maybe some partisan bickering, but generally civil, except it turns into a shouting match. Democrats blasting Trump's ICE raids, his National Guard deployments, calling it a charade, an abuse of power. Republicans defending the policies, voices rising, tempers flaring. Senator Tammy Duckworth, who's a veteran who served in Iraq, who lost both legs in combat, she's questioning whether Trump's orders are even legal, whether troops are being put in impossible positions, having to choose between obeying dubious orders and honoring their oath to the Constitution, and she's furious. You can hear it in her voice. Republicans respond by questioning her patriotism, suggesting she doesn't support law enforcement, suggesting she wants criminals running free, and that's when Democrats have had enough. They stand up, they call the whole thing a charade, and they walk out again. Middle of the hearing, cameras rolling, empty seats left behind, and Republicans, they keep going. They finish the hearing without Democrats present, they make their points to an empty room, and the whole thing just reinforces how broken Congress has become, how there's no pretense of cooperation or good faith anymore, how every interaction is hostile and confrontational. This is the new normal. Democrats staging walkouts and protests, Republicans pushing through anyway, both sides performing for their respective bases, both sides treating the other as illegitimate, both sides convinced the stakes are too high for normal politics. Now let me explain what Democrats are actually trying to accomplish here, because it's not immediately obvious. They know they can't stop Trump's nominees. They know they can't block his legislation. They're the minority. Republicans control both chambers. So why the protests? Why the walkouts? Why the spectacle? The answer is they're playing a longer game. They're not trying to win today. They're trying to set up wins in 2026 and beyond. How? By making sure Trump's agenda looks contested, controversial, illegitimate, so that when voters go to the polls in midterms, when they're deciding whether to give Trump more power or check him, they remember all this chaos, all this opposition, all these warnings about authoritarianism and abuse of power. Democrats are building a narrative. The narrative is, Trump is dangerous, his agenda is extreme. Even in Congress, even when his party controls everything, there's massive resistance because what he's doing is wrong. And they're using walkouts and protests to make that narrative visible, to give it imagery, to create moments that stick in people's minds. Think about it. If Democrats just voted no and moved on, nobody would notice. It'd be standard partisan opposition. Expected? Boring. But when they walk out, when they hold overnight sessions, when they get forcibly removed, that's news. That's viral content, that's something people remember, and it works. We're talking about it right now. You're watching this video, you're engaging with the story, which means millions of other people are too. Democrats succeeded in making their opposition visible and memorable. That's the goal. Now let me show you what Trump's response has been to all this, because his reaction tells you everything about how much this bothers him. Trump was asked by a reporter about the walkouts, about Democrats protesting, about the chaos in Congress. And Trump got defensive. He attacked the reporter, called them ABC fake news, said the reporter should be embarrassed for asking the question. Then Trump went on this bizarre ramble about a golfer named Sam Snead. Trump said Snead had a motto. When they give you a putt, you say thank you very much, you pick up your ball, and you walk to the next hole. Trump compared Democrats walking out to being given a free putt in golf, which makes no sense, but it shows Trump is rattled. He's trying to spin the walkouts as somehow helping him, as Democrats doing him a favor, but that's obviously false. Democrats walking out humiliates Trump. It shows he doesn't have respect. It shows he can't command the room. It shows his own government is in chaos. And Trump knows that. That's why he's defensive. That's why he's lashing out at reporters. That's why he's making up golf analogies that don't make sense. Because deep down, Trump understands that these walkouts damage him. They contradict his narrative of dominance, they show resistance is real, they give his opponents hope, and his supporters reason to worry. Now here's what this means for Trump going forward. Because on one level, he's winning, his nominees are getting confirmed, his agenda is advancing, Republicans are voting for his priorities, that's success by traditional measures. But on another level, he's losing the perception battle. Because every protest makes him look divisive. Every walkout makes him look illegitimate. Every forced removal makes him look authoritarian. The chaos itself, regardless of who's causing it, reflects badly on him. Because he's president, he's supposed to be leading, and this doesn't look like effective leadership. Plus, and this is crucial, these protests are dress rehearsals. Democrats are practicing resistance, building muscle memory for opposition, creating networks and systems and strategies they'll use even more aggressively if they ever regain power. They're learning what works, what generates attention, what puts pressure on Republicans, what mobilizes their base. So while Trump might be winning legislative battles, Democrats are preparing for a longer war. They're building the infrastructure of resistance. And that's going to matter down the line, when margins get tighter, when Trump's popularity wanes, when opportunities emerge to actually block his agenda. Now let's talk about the specific lawmakers who are putting themselves at risk by leading these protests, because walking out isn't cost-free. Getting forcibly removed isn't without consequences. These lawmakers are making choices that could hurt them politically. Al Green has made impeachment his obsession, and that's cost him. He's seen as a partisan bomb thrower by many. Even some Democrats think he goes too far. But he keeps doing it, keeps disrupting, keeps making scenes, because he believes Trump is that dangerous, that the stakes justify extreme tactics. Cory Booker leading the walkout from the Bove hearing, that's a mark on his record. Republicans will use it against him, will say he abandoned his duties, refused to participate in the democratic process. That might hurt him if he runs for higher office, might cost him moderate voters, but he did it anyway, because he thought the message mattered more than political calculation. Chris Murphy staying up all night to protest Vought? That's exhausting. That's sacrificing rest and health to make a point. And for what? The nomination went through anyway. Murphy didn't change the outcome, but he showed voters he's willing to fight, to go to extremes, to match Trump's intensity with his own. These senators and representatives are deciding that visible resistance matters more than procedural norms. That dramatic opposition is worth the political risk. That fighting Trump's agenda justifies disrupting Congress. And they're accepting the consequences, whatever those end up being. And here's the thing, their actions give permission to others. When Al Green gets forcibly removed and survives politically, when Booker leads a walkout and doesn't get punished by voters, when Murphy stays up all night and gets praised by activists, that tells other Democrats it's okay to resist dramatically. You won't be destroyed for it. That creates a cascade. More lawmakers willing to protest, more comfortable disrupting, more likely to stage walkouts and overnight sessions and confrontational hearings. The resistance becomes normalized, expected, part of how Democrats operate under Trump, and that's a shift, because Democrats used to prize decorum, used to believe in norms and precedent and proper procedure, used to think you oppose presidents through votes and hearings and measured criticism. But Trump broke those norms first, broke them repeatedly, broke them unapologetically, and now Democrats are responding in kind, fighting fire with fire, matching chaos with chaos. Whether that's good for democracy is debatable. You can argue it's necessary, that Trump's norm-breaking requires aggressive response, that preserving democracy sometimes means disrupting normal procedure, that these protests are justified civil disobedience against authoritarianism. Or you can argue it's making things worse, that Democrats descending to Trump's level damages institutions further, that two parties both abandoning norms is worse than one, that resistance should be principled and measured rather than theatrical and disruptive. Both arguments have merit. Both reflect real concerns. And we won't know which is right until we see how this plays out. Until we know whether democratic resistance helps save democracy or helps destroy the norms and institutions that hold it together. Now let me show you what all this looks like from inside the Capitol, because the atmosphere in Congress right now is toxic. Members barely speak to each other across party lines. Committee hearings routinely devolve into shouting matches. Floor votes are tense and hostile. The usual courtesy and collegiality that used to exist? Gone. Replaced by mutual contempt and distrust. Republicans view Democrats as obstructionists who refuse to accept election results. Democrats view Republicans as enablers of authoritarianism who've abandoned democratic principles. Neither side sees the other as legitimate opposition. Both sides see the other as enemies of the country. And that makes governing almost impossible. Because governance requires compromise, requires good faith negotiation, requires belief that the other side, even when you disagree, is operating from legitimate concerns and democratic values. But when you think the other side is trying to destroy democracy, when you think they're fascists or traitors, there's no room for compromise, no basis for negotiation, no shared ground to build on. All that's left is combat. And that's what we're seeing. Congressional combat, played out in walkouts and protests and forced removals. Make sure you're subscribed to John Brown Show, because this is just the beginning. We're not even halfway through Trump's term, And if this is how chaotic Congress is when Republicans control everything, imagine what happens if Democrats win the House in 2026. More walkouts, more protests, more impeachment efforts, more confrontations. The chaos we've seen so far, that'll look calm compared to what's coming because Democrats are learning, organizing, building a resistance movement that's getting stronger and bolder. And Trump can keep winning battles, keep confirming judges, keep passing legislation, but he can't make the chaos go away, can't force cooperation, can't create the image of smooth governance he wants. Because Democrats won't let him. They'll disrupt and protest and walk out at every opportunity. That's the new normal. That's what Trump's second term looks like. Not total control, but constant conflict. Not easy wins, but grinding, contested, controversial victories that come at enormous cost to institutional legitimacy and democratic norms. And when you see headlines about Capitol chaos, about Trump being humiliated, about Congress in meltdown, remember what's really happening. It's not just Democrats being difficult, it's a fundamental battle over what kind of country we're going to be, over whether Trump's vision prevails or resistance succeeds, over whether institutions hold or break under pressure. That battle is playing out in walkouts and protests and overnight sessions, in empty chairs and protest signs and lawmakers getting removed, in the visible breakdown of congressional decorum and the rise of theatrical resistance. Share this video with everyone you know because people need to understand what's happening in Congress. Trump can't control the chaos. Democrats are staging walkouts at every major moment. And Congress is barely functioning as anything other than an arena for partisan combat. This is Trump's Washington. This is what his presidency looks like. Not strength and control, but division and chaos. Not respect and cooperation, but protests and walkouts. Not governance, but conflict. And it's only going to get worse from here, because Democrats have learned that dramatic resistance works, that walkouts generate attention, that protests create moments people remember, that disruption is more effective than quiet opposition. So they're going to keep doing it. Keep staging walkouts, keep holding overnight sessions, keep forcing confrontations, keep making Trump's victories look hollow and contested and illegitimate. And Trump, he can attack reporters. He can make up golf analogies. He can pretend it doesn't bother him. But everyone can see the truth. His own Congress is in chaos. His addresses get interrupted by walkouts. His nominees get confirmed while Democrats abandon the room. That's not what strength looks like. That's not what control looks like. That's what humiliation looks like. This story continues. Stay tuned.